Chapter 1522. Lin Feng sent an okay gesture. No problem. I'll apply for it from Almighty Shao. Bo Jiu smiled. After all, Luo Luo is from Xiangnan. We have to be well-mannered when we ask her out. Lin Feng smirked. You are obviously trying to cause trouble. Bo Jiu didn't deny it. Lin Feng was excited when he asked her out. I even mentioned it in the discussion group. But I told that fellow that even if they meet, Luo Luo can only treat him as a friend. That fellow agreed and said that he wanted to fight for a chance. Luo Luo is very generous. She said that there are still her fans in the circle. She is quite happy. Can we meet in the afternoon? Bo Jiu asked about the time. Lin Feng replied. She switched to the WeChat chat and sent a message to Xiao Jing. Indeed, not everyone from Xiangnan went back. After the competition, the club had been busy. Moreover, Xiao Jing's medical discussion was here too. Zhao Sanpang stayed behind because he had some interviews to do. Their plane tickets were for the next day. Luo Luo didn't know how she was going to tell her teammates about her retirement when she returned to the team tomorrow. It was good to go out for a walk and organize her thoughts. When Xiao Jing received the message, his fingers paused. He was sitting in a university's exchange center. As a special guest, he had a speech later. His assistant followed beside him and watched him go up the stage. He had wanted to record down the professional knowledge that senior brother Xiao was going to talk about. Unexpectedly, the speech was unprecedentedly short. Originally, the school had arranged for an hour. But Xiao Jing used a human anatomy diagram in 20 minutes to explain the main points. Many of the students wanted more after listening to it. The school was elated. After all, the shorter the time, the better. After the speech ended, a group of professors walked over. They wanted to invite Xiao Jing for a meal. There were many big shots in the medical world. Xiao Jing put down his documents and said, I'm sorry. I have something urgent. I'll invite all of you another day. The school obviously wanted him to stay. They tried to persuade him for a while. They received the same answer. They could only let him go. Xiao Jing didn't change out of his white coat. Instead, he took a bunch of car keys from his assistant. I'll return them to you tomorrow. The assistant was a girl with a good family background. She smiled faintly and said, Senior brother Xiao, you can take it. My house is nearby, and I can talk to my uncle about academic matters. Senior brother, is it really okay for you to leave like this? They are all big shots in our industry. What is it that they want to do today? Isn't the competition over? It's not a competition. Xiao Jing's voice was indifferent. Someone went on a blind date again. The female assistant was stunned. She wondered if she had misheard. Then, she remembered the female team member who had come to find senior brother Xiao. She smiled and said, It's really hard being a team leader. You have to worry about the feelings of the female team members. Are you worried that she will meet some scumbag? Xiao Jing nodded and didn't say anything more. The female assistant looked at his back and didn't pay much attention. I heard that the female team member has already announced her retirement. In the future, he would most likely not appear by senior brother Zhao's side. Esports had always been about youth. She had told that person before that senior brother Xiao would eventually become a doctor, and he would be different from them. Chapter 1523. The weather at the start of April was very suitable for a date. Jiang City wasn't that cold anymore. She just needed to wear a trench coat outside. Luoluo's dressing was much more relaxed. Her long hair was draped behind her like silk. Due to her outstanding looks, she attracted the attention of the people around her the moment she entered the cafe. She glanced sideways and rolled up her sleeves. She looked around and was about to send a message to ask the other party where he was. Just then, someone raised his hand and held onto her bag that was about to be swapped. He smiled faintly and a little shyly. Goddess Luo. Luo paused and looked at the person. He was obviously younger than her. His face was pleasant to look at, and when he smiled, she could see 2 canine teeth. Lin Feng's friend had this kind of divination too. The seat on the left, the person said. Then, he stuffed his hand into his pocket. Luo then noticed that when the person stood up straight, he wasn't short. He was 1.8 meters tall. The two of them sat facing each other. The person's face was still red. He seemed even younger. Luo laughed softly. You aren't old, right? The person glanced sideways. I'm an adult. Do you want to drink something? Okay. Luo looked at his face and felt that she had aged. The person took the menu and pushed it over. You order. At first, Luo didn't believe what Lin Feng said. She thought that the person really treated her as a goddess. But now, she believed him. What do you like to drink? Dessert or not? Luo flipped open the menu and asked the person. Not sweet. After Luo ordered 2 cups of pure Americana, she noticed that the person didn't dare to look at her. She smiled faintly and suggested, do you want to play a game? Okay. This was probably the advantage of being a professional player. When the two of them couldn't find a topic to talk about, they could start a game. Luo seemed to have thought of something. Add me as a friend on WeChat first. I haven't asked you how I should address you. Feng Yang. My ID. After the young man finished speaking, his handsome face began to blush again. After all, to him, he had never thought that one day he would be able to add his goddess's WeChat. Luo had heard of this name before. She had even fought against him before. She had thought that he was an older person. After all, his fighting style looked explosive and experienced. She hadn't expected him to be this type in real life. As expected, she guessed that the people in their circle couldn't be analyzed based on their fighting style, personality, age, and appearance. The WeChat was accepted. Luo was about to raise her hand when she saw the person's profile picture. That portrait was her picture, and there were 3 words written on it, my goddess. Luo paused. Feng Yang also seemed to realize that something was wrong. He immediately reached out and pressed down on her phone. Luo laughed softly. Many people of your age use this avatar of mine. Yes. Even Feng Yang's neck was red, which didn't match his overall image. Our entire team is your fan. Luo raised her phone. I can't embarrass myself in front of my fans. I'll play well later. This sentence alleviated the awkwardness at that time. When Feng Yang entered the game to choose his hero, he couldn't help but look at the person opposite him. He wasn't sure if it was because he was a fan or because he had a good impression of him. No matter what, he didn't want this person to retire. 2 professional players were playing online, and it was a team with different teams. Naturally, it was eye-catching. Chapter 1524. F***CK, is there something wrong with my eyes? Luo and Feng Yang are playing together. Why isn't it with my brother Fatty this time? They can play together even if they aren't in the same team. Is there a problem? My god Yang got what he wanted and finally connected to goddess Luo. I can imagine my god Yang's inner thoughts. It's wonderful. The era of the little wolf puppy is coming. My god Yang must have done something. Feng Yang's fans basically knew that his goddess was Luo. After all, his god Yang's Weibo was filled with his goddess's updates. Feng Yang might look like this in front of Luoluo, but he wasn't usually like this. He was a rather cold kid. However, Luoluo wasn't wrong. He was indeed young. He had just turned 18. The fans didn't dare to think about the two of them playing together. But once they thought about it, they felt that it was a little sweet. The little wolf puppy could finally get close to the goddess. People really wanted to see what would happen next. Even though the two of them didn't turn on the live stream, it didn't stop the endless stream of people watching. The people who were matched saw the two IDs and were instantly dumbfounded. Two professional players. Are we still playing? Let's play first. Don't forget, we are high-level players too. Arrogant. These words were obviously meant to comfort themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't have said it on the public chat. However, it wasn't their conversation that caused a heated discussion online. Instead, some fans took a screenshot of Luoluo and Feng Yang standing together and circled it in a heart shape before posting it. I feel like they are in a relationship. The moment this was posted, some people mocked them. Thank you. Our god Yang doesn't want to date. He simply likes his skills. He doesn't want it to become a reality. All these years, Luoluo has taken a liking to many little wolves. Honestly, they have all retired and are old. If they want to leave, they should leave quickly. If I can't find a boyfriend in the future, I will go and play games. Anyway, there are so many girls around me that I can flirt with. It was fine if these words were mocked. Anyway, that was what they said in the past. Unexpectedly, in the next second, Spadesy posted a status. This is my first time matchmaking, but Luoluo only knows how to play games. She's too obedient. Lin Feng followed up with another message. Someone actually asked me what I should say to his goddess so that it wouldn't be awkward. Xiao Sanpang was even more direct. Some people shouldn't play games just to find a boyfriend. Not many guys will be interested in them. Listen to me, this is an era where looks are as well as people. Do you really think that all the guys who play games are blind and can't see who has worked hard and who hasn't? People who like you can really tell what kind of person you are. When Feng Yang was interviewed, he was asked who his goddess was. When he answered Luoluo, a group of fans mocked him for looking at his face. Some female fans even said that he should open his eyes and check the gossip posts he had posted in the past to know what kind of person Luoluo was. Feng Yang thought, I know what kind of person she is the best. While everyone else had given up on training, she was still training her hand speed. She would never look down on those who lost to her, nor would she try to pull them down when they were taller than her. Now she was retiring. Chapter 1525. Suddenly, a tall and slender figure came over. He had a strong scholarly aura. That person stood behind Luoluo. He wore a half-opened white coat and a pair of gold-rimmed spectacles on his high nose bridge. For a moment, people couldn't associate him with Almighty Xiao, who was known as the group's soul. But everyone who played esports was familiar with that handsome face. Feng Yang paused and looked at Xiao Jing. As a man, his intuition told him that Xiao Jing was right. His instinct as a man told him that this person didn't appear here by chance. Even though he was a player that he had always admired. But there were some things that he didn't want to give up. However, Luoluo, who was playing the game, noticed the person behind her. When she glanced over, there was a look of surprise in her beautiful eyes. Captain. Xiao Jing's voice was calm. After Luoluo hit her character in the bushes, she asked, Are you eating with the professors nearby? Xiao Jing leaned against the wall. He didn't reply to her. Instead, he stretched out his hand and tapped on the screen. Ranking. Luoluo didn't understand why her captain appeared here. Xiao Jing added, Let's talk after you are done playing. Luoluo's fingers weren't as smooth as before. Why did her captain appear here? Halfway through the game, Luoluo suddenly thought of something. She glanced at the person opposite her. Captain, this is Feng Yang. I've seen him before. Xiao Jing nodded towards Feng Yang. His eyes were deep. Suddenly, Feng Yang understood what it meant. His fingers paused. He originally thought that Almighty Xiao appeared because he was worried that Luoluo would meet a scumbag like the last time. He wanted to prove himself. But now, he realized that it wasn't the case. As a fan, he knew that Luoluo's eyes were hiding many things when she looked at Almighty Xiao. There was admiration, yearning, and perhaps a little something else. But he had never thought that she liked those other things. She probably hid it too well in public. Even Almighty Xiao was the same. They hid it too well. Many people thought that their relationship was that of a captain and a member. She had never thought of these two people in that way. It wasn't until today's private occasion that Feng Yang realized that the intimacy between the two of them was natural. He was different from the people he usually hung out with. It seemed to be an atmosphere that could only exist after many years. Even if it wasn't love, it was hard for others to get involved. Xiao Jing was still watching Luoluo play the game. When he saw that her attention wasn't on him, he said, "Let me play. It'll be faster." Indeed, Luoluo couldn't continue the call. She passed the phone to him and looked at his side profile. Then, she looked at his slender and fair hands moving back and forth on the screen. He seemed very serious. Therefore, he couldn't ask, "Where are the professors?" Qin Mo, Xiao Jing, and the others all had their own special moves when playing games. It was a unique style of play formed by his positioning and hand speed. Ordinary people couldn't learn it at all. In this new wave of team battles, Xiao Jing circled around and dodged the skills thrown at him. Then, he charged into the crowd of players. As he pulled and pulled, he formed a formation and perfectly harvested two players. In an instant. The onlookers were a little excited. Wait a minute, did I see wrongly? This positioning doesn't seem like Goddess Luo's, right? It's unusually sharp. I can't help but think of my Almighty Xiao. I feel that the person above is the truth. What should I do? 3 consecutive fatal moves. It's definitely Almighty Xiao. Why is Almighty Xiao playing Goddess Luo's account? This is indeed a problem. I feel a little heartache. What should Yang do? Almighty Yang has been looking forward to merging with the goddess for a long time. Did he merge with Almighty Xiao? But from what Almighty Lin Feng said, Almighty Yang should be on a date with Goddess Luo. I don't have enough brain cells. I can't understand it. What's there to understand? Can't Almighty Xiao chase her to a coffee shop and disturb her date? Call me the Emperor of Truth. Impossible. It's impossible. Don't think too much. It's impossible for Almighty Xiao and Luoluo to be on the same team. The moment he said this, everyone started to deny their previous guesses. Moreover, the game was won very quickly. Feng Yang understood that even if he continued to sit there, he wouldn't be able to change anything. He felt a little pain in his heart. However, he wasn't willing to accept it. After seeing the comments on the internet, as a fan, he felt that his goddess wasn't worthy of someone else. He took the opportunity when the two of them were about to leave and suddenly opened his mouth. His voice wasn't loud, but it was loud enough for the three of them to hear. Luoluo, can I continue to contact you? Luoluo paused for a moment before smiling. Of course, you can contact me on WeChat. In the future, you can use a small account to queue. The big account is too eye-catching. Okay. Feng Yang had a cold personality. After he said that, his face felt a little hot. However, he had basically achieved his goal. It didn't matter if that person was Almighty Xiao or not. They should understand that there were still many people who liked their goddess. Indeed, Xiao Jing's light-colored eyes rippled a little because of her words. He thought that they only added each other as friends in the game. They were even friends on WeChat. Luo Luo didn't understand why her captain appeared. She was about to ask something. However, he suddenly took off his white coat and threw it to her. Put it on. Luo Luo wasn't used to her captain being so considerate. Moreover, she wasn't cold. She blinked her eyes and didn't move. Xiao Jing looked at her. He knew that she didn't realize it. He thought for a moment and bent his back slightly. His fingers touched the white coat in her hand. Luo Luo was shocked by his sudden closeness. The two of them were too close. From her position, she could see the hair on his black head. Her nose was filled with the fragrance of his scholarly aura. Xiao Jing didn't say anything. He just wrapped the two sleeves of the white coat around her waist and tied a butterfly knot. After realizing what he did, Luo Luo's gaze suddenly changed. She blushed and looked at him. Did something happen to me? Yes. Xiao Jing rarely saw her like this. When he looked up, he seemed to be smiling. It's all red. Luo Luo reached out to cover her face. A beauty was beautiful to the bones. This was how she looked. It's so embarrassing. My image is gone. Captain, Feng Yang didn't see it, right? Chapter 1526. He is my little fanboy. Luo Luo lowered her head and tightened the white coat on her body. I can't disappoint him. Xiao Jing didn't say anything. Luo Luo knew that their captain wasn't interested in such things. At the start, she wanted to ask him why he was here. Now that he mentioned it, Luo Luo felt sticky everywhere. She knew that she would be here soon, but she didn't expect that she would be here today. She knew that she would come in the next few days, but she didn't expect that she would come today. She knew that she would be here in the next few days, but she didn't expect that she would be here today. I want to buy something first. Luo Luo lowered her voice. Captain, your white coat probably won't be able to be washed. Xiao Jing glanced sideways and said calmly, it's the last time I'm wearing it. Let's go first. The things you want will be delivered at the hotel. Luo Luo didn't insist. If she was in front of someone else, she might feel embarrassed. But in front of him, she wouldn't feel so awkward. The reason was simple. The members of the team lived together almost every day. This wasn't the first time he saw her. Luo Luo still remembered the first time he saw her. They won the competition and he treated them. In the middle of the meal, when she brought a plate of meat over, he covered her head with his coat. Put it on. That was summer. She wore a white chiffon dress. She didn't realize that she would be here. Just like today. At the start, she didn't understand what he meant. But after she realized it, she felt awkward. At that time, Zhao Sanpang was still teasing her about why she wore a coat on such a hot summer day. That was why the straight men in the esports industry weren't gentle and considerate. All their thoughts were on esports. They were used to calling each other brothers, so they treated you as though you didn't have a gender. At that time, she was still sleeping in the team's dormitory. It was a single room in the attic. Because her stomach hurt, she lay down after she went back. She didn't even eat the dessert that Zhao Sanpang bought for her. Then, she heard a knock on the door. He came in with a bowl. The bowl was filled with brown sugar and ginger water. There was also a box of Wuji Bifeng pills. At that time, Luo Luo didn't understand why their captain was so understanding of girls. But after she found out that he was a medical student, she suddenly understood. She tugged at the blanket. When she first came into contact with him, she really couldn't let go. When Xiao Sanpang found out that he was taking care of her, he teased him about it. After that day, he winked every day when he saw her. He even used his elbow to nudge her. "Captain, don't tell me that you're attracted to our Luoluo because she's pretty. Then I have to eat the wedding candies in advance. With the wedding candies, I'll keep it a secret. What do you think?" "What do you mean?" Luoluo heard his voice. It was very calm. "If you can have your period, I will do the same thing." "Xiao Sanpang, I'm a man, it's a bit difficult for me to do that. So don't think about these meaningless things. I will check your hand speed tonight." "Oh no. Captain, let's talk about it again. Let's change it to tomorrow." Clearly, Xiao Sanpang had a mental breakdown from that day onwards. Because he had said the wrong thing, his training time was extended by an hour every day. Since then, he had never made fun of the two of them. It was also from that day onwards that Luoluo understood that the care he gave her was mostly due to the care a captain gave to his team members. However, because she was a girl, he treated her with more patience. When she thought about this, Luoluo couldn't help but press her lower abdomen. She was probably immersed in that kind of gentleness and couldn't extricate herself. That was why she was like this now. She knew that she shouldn't like him, but she couldn't control herself. "Get in the car." The other party's voice rang in her ears again. Luoluo raised her head and saw a small sports car. She opened the car door and entered. She could even smell a wave of perfume. Her fingers paused. She didn't sit in the front passenger seat. Instead, she sat in the back seat. It was obvious that a girl was driving this car. There was a photo pasted in front of the car. On the back seat, there was a row of neatly arranged medical books. Luoluo had seen the person in the photo before. Because she had seen him before, she turned her head and looked out of the car window. She had thought about how he would be like after he had a girlfriend countless times. Now, she was more or less clear. Fortunately, she had already retired. In this case, she didn't need to face him. She could still send him a blessing every year. After she stopped playing games, she would probably meet someone. Maybe it would be difficult to find someone who wouldn't look at what the internet said about her or who wouldn't look down on her previous career and education. But there would be someone. After Luoluo told herself this, she smiled lightly. Because she had predicted it countless times. Hence, when all of this came, she felt that she could accept it. After all, he didn't ask her to attend his wedding now. In the past, when she went to university and saw him standing together with that girl, she felt that their temperament was compatible. 3 years had passed. Her intuition had come true. Instead, she felt relieved. In the future, she had to maintain a distance. Even if she was his team member. She couldn't be reluctant to part with his gentleness just because he knew how to take care of her. Once she returned to the team and had a farewell meal, she would prepare to leave. She was indeed a little worried. She would receive his invitation in a few days. For people with high education like them, even their wedding would be unexpected. When they reached the place, Luoluo didn't show her pain like before. She smiled and wanted to go upstairs. But Xiao Jing pulled her back. "Stomach ache. It's all right. It doesn't hurt that much." Luoluo didn't forget his professionalism. She rejected him. "I will pass after lying down for a while." Xiao Jing's gaze landed on her pale lips. "You don't look like you will pass after lying down for a while." "Really?" Luoluo touched her face. "I don't have makeup today, that's why I look a little haggard. I want to go up and sleep. I'm too tired." Xiao Jing let go of her and didn't say anything. Luoluo thought that she would be able to get by just like that. After she entered the room, she tidied herself up. She took off her blood-stained pants and changed them into pajamas. She raised her head and drank a painkiller. The moment she lifted the blanket, she saw him walking in with a bag in his hand. Luo wasn't stupid enough to ask him why he had her room card. As her captain, he had a backup of everyone's room card. On the contrary, when Xiao Jing saw the medicine box on the bedside table, he frowned slightly. Luo was still holding a cup of hot water. When she saw her phone light up, she didn't have time to speak to him. She lowered her gaze and replied to his WeChat message. Chapter 1527. Luo had never expected him to ask her such a question. Her fingers paused for a moment. Nope. You met 2 people in 3 days. Xiao Jing sounded as though he was just stating a fact. Luo felt a little uncomfortable. She combed her long hair to the side and wanted to explain. My family was pressuring me. I couldn't reject the previous blind date. This time, I just want to make friends. I treat my little fans very well. I'm protective of them. In the end, Luo felt relieved. Actually, there wasn't anything embarrassing about being seen by him in such a manner twice in a row. She smiled and said, I'm indeed a little tired. I want to find a boyfriend, but I won't do it among the fans. They are all, what do you think of me? Before Luo could finish her sentence, she was interrupted by this question. She froze for a moment. She suspected that she had heard wrongly and wanted to remove her earphones. Xiao Jing looked at her. When he saw that she had no intention to reply, he reached out and removed her earphones. He was a little close to her. You didn't hear it just now. When that familiar breath landed on her ear, Luo's slender fingers tightened. He had spoken to her in this manner countless times. He had corrected her habits in the game and tested her hand speed from behind. He had never done this for a personal matter. They were in the same team and it was impossible for them to not be intimate. This happened naturally. Even when they won the championship, she would hug him and he would bend over to hug her. This didn't mean anything. At that time, they were teammates. It was pure. But now, Luo didn't know what to do. Her heart was beating so fast that it felt as though it was going to jump out of her heart. Even the pain in her stomach seemed to be ignored. Only his voice was left in her ears. Let me ask you again. What do you think of me as your boyfriend? Xiao Jing lowered his gaze and landed on her face. If you really want to date. Luo reached out and rubbed her ears. She looked at Xiao Jing. She hadn't thought about this question. She really hadn't thought about it. She didn't dare to think about it. She was afraid that she would do something if she thought about it. But this person had too much influence on her. Captain, stay away from me. At least, her heart wouldn't beat so fast. Seeing her move, Xiao Jing's eyes darkened. Can't accept it. No. Luo took a deep breath. Captain, are you still single? Xiao Jing's voice was indifferent. Yes, but it won't be tomorrow. Luo didn't think about the deeper meaning behind his words. The owner of the car today, who? Xiao Jing glanced sideways. When did you focus on the assistant the school assigned to me? Didn't I tell you that I wouldn't look for someone from the entertainment circle? Luo's face froze. When you said that you won't look for people from the industry, you mean you won't look for people from the medical world? Okay. Xiao Jing was a man of few words, even in this situation. Luo really wanted to. She took a deep breath, sat up and grabbed her long hair. Xiao Jing raised his eyebrows and reached out to smooth her long hair. What else do you want to ask? Just now, you said that if I want to date someone, you have to be my boyfriend. Luo bit her thin lips. It shouldn't be as simple as you liking me. Chapter 1528. Xiao Jing didn't reply immediately. He seemed to be thinking of an explanation. He had always been a strict person. He was different from Qin Mo. He was also different from Bojo. He was also different from Yunhu and Lin Feng. I've never thought about dating. Xiao Jing's fingers were still on Luoluo's hair. I just thought about it these few days. If I can't calm down to read and train the moment I hear that you are going to meet someone, it should be. Luoluo could feel the warmth of his hand. Her face was a little hot, but she understood Xiao Jing's words. She knew that she liked him much more than him. Who was the one who said that girls shouldn't like too many guys? If not, they would suffer. But she finally had a chance, and this person was confessing to her. Luoluo hesitated. It wasn't because she liked more guys. It was because, my education isn't high. Xiao Jing replied. I know. Luoluo. I want you to answer me. I like money a lot too. Xiao Jing looked at her. Do you want me to reward you during the live stream? Luoluo knew that her captain had a low EQ. His thoughts were either given to the game or to his nemesis, Qin Mo. I want you to reward me. Luoluo smiled. Reward me more. Captain, you really don't understand what I mean by, I like money. For example, if your mother takes out 5 million to ask me to leave you, I might not be able to do it since I still have so much money in my savings. But if your mother says that if I don't leave you, it doesn't matter if I don't get the 5 million. She even wants me to compensate Xiangnan 10 million for the breach of contract. Xiao Jing frowned slightly. He couldn't help but ask, have you been reading such novels under Spadesy's influence? Bojo's overbearing CEO falls in love with me and Little Wife, Where Are You Going were famous in the discussion group. Luoluo and Jiao had always been close. It was normal for Xiao Jing to think this way. F***ck. Just as Luoluo gave up on communicating with him, Xiao Jing gave a serious explanation. Xiao Jing explained seriously, my mom is also a medical student. She has a lot of classes and doesn't have much money on hand. She shouldn't be as rich as you. Even if she was, she wouldn't do something like this. She only suspects that I'm gay and can't bear to leave Qin Mo. She can't wait for me to find a girlfriend. Xiangnan won't ask you for compensation. Even if you do, I have it in my card. You don't have a high education level and you like money. I happen to have all these things. At this point, he paused for a moment, and his voice was very calm. Do you need to talk so much when you're in love? When she heard the last sentence, for some reason, Luoluo wanted to laugh. My house isn't in Jiang City. It's on the national highway of a small county. It's a little far. It's written on your team profile. Xiao Jing glanced at her colorless lips and reached out to lift the quilt. I'll take it as a yes, patient. Luoluo's heart skipped a beat because of his domineering attitude. He was sitting right beside her. She thought for a moment. It was probably because her captain didn't want to talk anymore. That was why he was so decisive. After she took the brown sugar water from him, she watched as he threw the painkillers on the bedside table into the bin. It still didn't feel real. Because before and after the confession, the way they interacted seemed to be the same. There wasn't any change. Chapter 1529. He didn't look any different from before. Basically, he just watched as she raised her head and drank a huge bowl of brown sugar water. Then, he continued to sit there and do his own things. Except that he didn't return to his room. In the past, he only said a few words. Now, he still said a few words. But this was good too. If her captain suddenly became like Fat Tai and asked about her well-being, she wouldn't be used to it. Even now, she still felt a little awkward that that person had become her boyfriend. If it was in the past, she would have lifted the blanket and gone to the bathroom to change. But now, her heart was beating really fast. The commotion on her side had probably caught his attention. Xiao Jing put down the medical materials he was reading and glanced at her. Why aren't you going to the bathroom? Why was she so shy? As a boyfriend, was it appropriate for him to ask his girlfriend this question? Luo Luo glanced at him. She wanted him to understand the problem of EQ on his own. She didn't expect him to directly walk over, bend over, and pick her up from the bed. From her angle, the contours of his face were very distinct. Luo Luo's fingers paused. She tried to keep her voice steady. In reality, her heart was beating so fast that it sounded like it was ringing loudly. What are you doing? What do you think? Xiao Jing lifted his chin. I'm going to change. Luo Luo lowered her voice. I'm asking why you suddenly came over and hugged me. You looked at me just now. Xiao Jing's words were simple. Luo Luo understood that her captain had misunderstood the meaning of her gaze. After going to the bathroom, to avoid the awkwardness, Luo Luo splashed some water on her face. When she walked out, she saw Xiao Jing holding his phone. She walked towards him. Are you playing games? It was fine if she didn't look sideways. The moment she looked, she saw his message. It was just one sentence, but it was posted on the official platform. After tagging her, he said, "We are together." In that instant, Luo Luo didn't know if she should retract her head or not. She felt as though she was soaked in an unknown sweetness. The taste of the brown sugar water was still lingering on the tip of her tongue. This was the first time she felt that the brown sugar water was delicious. She was about to pretend that she didn't see it and return to the blanket to enjoy herself. Just then, he looked up. It's okay to inform everyone, right? Yes. Whenever Luo Luo was nervous, she liked to tidy her hair. Even though this action looked beautiful, in reality, her jade-like ears had turned red. He continued to read his medical book, as if he had just done something he was supposed to do. Luo Luo's state of mind was completely different from before. When she lay back on the bed, she couldn't help but take out her phone. She looked at the explosion caused by the official message and secretly took a screenshot of the message he sent. However, one could imagine what kind of turmoil Xiao Jing would cause when he released this kind of news. Just that sentence alone was enough to attract many fans. Moreover, he even circled Luo Luo. F***ck, 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 I must have eaten dinner the wrong way today. What did I see? I've rubbed my titanium alloy dog eyes. I didn't see wrongly. I, Xiao De Quan, am indeed my goddess Luo. Together. It's definitely not what I think it is. How could these two people be together? It's impossible. It must be because April Fool's Day is coming. I, Xiao De, must be joking. The commenter above is the one joking. Does Almighty Xiao know about April Fool's Day? I couldn't tell from the interview. Goddess Luo Luo said she wouldn't look for someone from the industry. He, she even took action against Almighty Xiao and they are from the same team. So what if they are from the same team? Supreme Alliance is digested internally. Why can't Xiangnan do it? Some people should stop mocking me. I support Almighty Xiao. Instead of being snatched away by an unknown woman, why not be together with Luo Luo? They have known each other for a long time. It's normal for them to have feelings for each other. Snatched away Almighty Xiao. I don't support such a relationship, but it doesn't affect my liking for Almighty Xiao. I won't accept it anyway. Bless you. The two people I like the most are together. Almighty Xiao, treat Luo Luo well. Luo Luo swiped her fingers. These were the comments. Some were bad and some were good. She thought that it would be over. Unexpectedly, another message from Xiao Jing popped up very quickly. I'm just informing you. This meant that it didn't matter if others accepted it or not. Some fans were completely heartbroken. They shouted that they wanted to stop being his fan. Luoluo didn't say anything when she saw this. It seemed that the longer she stayed in this industry, the more she understood. Everyone said that they liked you, but they didn't really like you that much. They would change because of other people's comments about you. They would also express their disappointment when they found out that they couldn't get you. Actually, it was understandable. When she was young, she had put in a lot of effort to get everyone to like her. A bad comment could affect her mood. After experiencing so much, she understood that it was impossible. She just wanted the person she liked to not hate her. Just like now, it was very good. Luoluo glanced sideways at the man who had just sent the message and was looking at the medical book again. He must have noticed her gaze. Xiao Jing lifted his head and paused. Luoluo. MMH. Luoluo was a little shy when her gaze was caught. Xiao Jing spoke again. I have never had any experience in dating. If there are any areas that I haven't done well, you can tell me in advance. Luoluo didn't expect to hear this. She couldn't control herself and hugged his waist. Her face was slightly hot. No, you have done well enough. Xiao Jing originally wanted to hug her back or caress her long hair like how he did in the past. However, when he saw her pajamas slide down, his hands suddenly paused. His gaze was unprecedentedly deep. Belt. What belt? Luoluo was still thinking. She followed his gaze and saw the belt of her underwear. Her originally hot face turned even redder. She reached out and pulled her pajamas up. Then, she felt awkward. Fortunately, the handsome face in front of her didn't have any emotions. If not, she really wanted to find a crack on the ground and hide in it. Xiao Jing turned sideways and grabbed a corner of the blanket with one hand. Then, he used force and covered her entire body. His voice was indiscernible. Don't wear this kind of pajamas in the future. MMH. What else could Luoluo say? She gripped the blanket tightly. Her heart was beating rapidly. It was different from the two people here. The discussions online were still going on. The most important one was Lin Feng's repost. Poker Face Xiao's operation is awesome. It seems like Little Spade and my matchmaking stimulation is successful. Thank you, Hero Feng Yang. Some netizens were still mocking him. Just now, you said that my almighty Yang likes Luoluo. Now, do you understand? My almighty Yang is just helping. However, very quickly, Feng Yang personally posted on Weibo. Ever since I entered the industry, I have been Luoluo's fan. I was in the past and I will be even more so in the future. It is good that she can be together with Almighty Xiao. I hope Almighty Xiao can treat her well. If not, our Luoluo fans will snatch her from your hands. That one sentence expressed his attitude completely. Bo Jiu saw this and sent a private message to Lin Feng. Your brother is not bad. Of course. Lin Feng had a proud expression. Birds of a feather flock together. Brother knows him, how can he be bad? Seeing Luoluo and Poker Face Xiao like this, it is considered perfect. It is a retirement gift for Luoluo. Bo Jiu saw this sentence and smiled. She seemed a little mischievous. They are perfect. What about you and Almighty Yun? I say, Team Flower Lin, did you forget what I said the other day? The one who takes the initiative can decide the position. Who said that I forgot? I am not afraid to tell you that I am already fully prepared. I plan to take action today. Just you wait. Wait for my good news tomorrow. When Lin Feng sent this sentence, he was looking for a reliable shop. On the other end of the phone, Bojo's smile couldn't be any more obvious. Go. I wish you success in attacking. Success in attacking. Little Amobe, who was sitting beside her, had just finished playing a game. She took off her earphones. There was no expression on her little face, but she was thinking about this idiom. Bojo thought to herself that she couldn't teach a child bad things. She tilted her handsome face. Ha! Did I say that? You must have heard wrongly. Little Amobe, are you hungry? Amobe shook her head. Then, she looked up and said seriously, Captain said that we can't eat in the practice room. Captain has always had so many rules. You don't have to follow them. Bojo smiled faintly and reached out to pinch her face. Her movements were very gentle. Little Amobe, you are a girl. Don't learn from Captain. You look better with more expressions. Come, smile. Then, tell me what you want to eat. Her favorite esports player was so close to her. Little Amobe's ears turned red. She tilted her head. Almighty K, what do you want to eat? Meat, 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 wine, wine, wine. After Bojo finished speaking, she met the child's eyes again. Wine doesn't count. Let's just eat meat. Little Amobe replied, MMH, her ears were still red. The reason why Bojo said that she wanted to eat was firstly because she liked to eat. Secondly, she wasn't sure if it was because of what Lin Feng had said previously, but the child didn't pay much for the food expenses here. As a trainee in the Supreme Alliance, there was a canteen inside. The food was cheap, but that was the price. The child didn't even eat any food for lunch. She only ate a mantou. Bojo glanced over. She supported her chin with one hand and glanced at little Amobe. There was no expression on her face, but the child seemed very happy. Happy. That was good. She was really similar to the Almighty when he was young. The way she expressed her happiness was also so different. But Bojo was different. Lin Feng inhaled deeply and walked into a shop decisively. At this hour, there weren't many people buying things for the night. He had purposely chosen this time. Not only was he fully armed, he was also wearing a black mask. He had even pulled up the zipper of his jacket just to cover his face. Chapter 1530. The boss of Tangerine's shop hadn't noticed Lin Feng at first. Most of the people who came to buy things were normal. But with Lin Feng's appearance, it was hard for the boss not to notice. He watched as this person walked in from outside. Next door was a chain hotel. The boss wondered if this person was here to rob him. But on second thought, it was just a nighttime goods store. What was there to snatch? She calmed down. Lin Feng had planned to pay the bill and leave quickly after getting the things. Who would have thought that this was his first time in such a store? Even though he had searched online, he couldn't find anything. What's with all this? What's with all this? Lin Feng's ears were a little red as he looked at those things. F***ck, were things so advanced now? In the past, they just watched movies. Now, there was a wide range of dazzling things. He didn't recognize any of them. Anyway, he had to buy those condoms. MMH, the internet said to ask for good quality and lubrication. This way, Yunhu wouldn't feel so bad. The more Lin Feng thought about it, the more thoughtful and intelligent he felt. As a man, this kind of thing had to be self-taught. He was facing this customer who wanted to learn without a teacher. The shop owner held a rag in his right hand and a box of things in his left hand. He was thinking, this person. How long was he going to look at the things in his shop? Boss. Lin Feng grabbed his collar tightly. Like a thief, he took a box of things and pushed it forward. Wrap it up. The shop owner felt that his line was a little different. He took a bag and was about to put the things in it. Transparent plastic bags. Lin Feng's eyes were wide open. There aren't any black plastic bags. You can't see what's inside. The shop owner thought to himself, do you think this is a girl going to the supermarket to buy sanitary pads? Let me help you. Thinking that this was the first time this person was buying things, the shop owner was good at thinking from the customer's point of view. Do you want to put down your hand? I'm the only one here. The mask can cover your face. You don't have to pull up your collar. The weather is hot now. Lin Feng shook his head. I'm fine like this. He definitely couldn't be recognized. He had to trick him into showing his face again. In the beginning, Supreme Alliance organized an annual meeting. When he was dressed as a woman, what everyone said, he definitely wouldn't take photos. But now, he was here to buy nighttime products. He had noticed that there were cameras outside. When the time came, there would be news about famous esports players patronizing nighttime goods store. His illustrious reputation was ruined. Since Lin Feng had said so, the shop owner didn't insist. He rummaged in the box for a while and finally found a paper bag. You can't see inside this either. Ah, it's done. Thank you. While speaking, Lin Feng decided to show his imposing manner. Boss, do you have that thing here? The innkeeper couldn't see his expression, but after hearing his words, he seemed to understand. He took out a whip and said, the latest model. Those who have used it all say that it's good. It doesn't hurt when hit. Lin Feng looked at the whip and was dumbfounded for a while. I mean, it's more comfortable. It won't hurt that much. That thing. Brother. The shop owner smiled. There's a saying that I don't know if I should say. Whether it's comfortable or not depends on one's skills. But you've come to the right place. Girls like this. Chapter 1531. Use it on your boyfriend. In that instant, the boss's expression was indescribable. But as a shop owner, he met all sorts of people. He calmed his expression. He took out all the things that Lin Feng wanted. Lin Feng saw that when he took it out, it was from a packed box. There were still a lot of delivery forms on the other side. He leaned over and asked, Boss, you can even deliver these things. I don't need to deliver the usual things. For people like you, you usually buy things online. After all, you don't want others to know. The boss was rather open-minded. Hence, I put the word snacks on the box. Lin Feng felt a little regretful. Why didn't he think of buying such things online? Boss, leave your contact details. MH. I will probably buy more in the future. You can send them to me by express delivery then. Sure. After settling everything, Lin Feng, who had bought what he wanted, was very happy. When the boss sent him out, he coughed softly. Pardon me for asking, are you a celebrity? You dress yourself up so tightly. Let me tell you my experience. The more you dress like this, the more attention you will attract when you go out. Brother, be more natural. It's nothing. Lin Feng wouldn't take off his mask no matter what. He only said, see you later. Then he took the things he bought and jumped into his car. Only when he entered the car did he release his hand. He heaved a huge sigh of relief. Then, he took his phone and took a photo. He couldn't see what was in the bag. This made it convenient for him to post it on his social media. He added the words, "Today is the day." His tone was filled with ambition. The people in the group chat started asking questions. Rao Rong, today. What? Luo Luo, you are going to cause trouble, Flower Lin. Coco, what's in the bag? World's most handsome fatty, little submissive Lin, I have a feeling but I don't know if I should tell you. Forget it, Buddha said that you can't say it. Among the mocking comments, Bojio's comment was the most eye-catching. She said, all the best, I have high hopes for you. Everyone was curious. What exactly was going on? The most interesting thing was that Lien Yunhu also left a message below. After sending a few question marks, he said, where are you? F***CK. F***CK. Lin Feng was probably feeling guilty. When he saw the message, he almost dropped his phone. After he calmed himself down, he tapped on Yunhu's profile picture and sent a message. I'm outside. I'm going back now. Do you want to come over to my place? Yunhu was a little surprised that this person had taken the initiative to ask him out. Ever since the last time he had asked him out, he had used all sorts of reasons to reject him. Okay, I'm near the Lin family. Yunhu added, do you need me to pick you up? Lin Feng tilted his head and sent a voice message over. No need, I'm not at the Lin family. I'm at my own place. It's close to the company. Your own place. Yunhu said these words a little slowly. It wasn't that he didn't care about a certain someone going out alone without telling him. What he was most concerned about was hearing that it was close to the company. Could it be that the person who brought him there had already been there? It was an indescribable feeling. But a certain someone didn't seem to have the self-awareness of being a lover. If it wasn't for this time, when had he planned to report to him about the existence of such a place? Were people always so unsatisfied? Before you got him. He thought that as long as he could stay by his side as a good brother, it would be fine. Not being hated by him was the best ending for him. When they were in high school, when he brought a girl to see him, he then realized that it was very painful. Hence, he couldn't take it anymore. He didn't hesitate to make it clear to him in the end. But at the last moment, after seeing his shocked and resistant expression, he was still afraid. Afraid that he would completely push him away. He couldn't even return to being a good friend. Hence, he thought of many ways, including finding someone to pretend to be someone close to him. Now that he thought about it, did he give someone a chance to get close to him when he was doing such things? He couldn't hide his love. Where did the restraint and forbearance come from? He wanted to tell the world that this person was his. He also wanted to get him as soon as possible. He had thought of all kinds of methods. He even wanted to use the deal that person wanted the most to negotiate. If not, he wouldn't have rejected when someone sent him to him. Yunhu forcefully suppressed the darkness in his eyes, his fingers moving as he replied, I haven't been to your place yet. Lin Feng was indeed very carefree, completely unaware of the big deal. I'll send you the location. Yunhu kept his phone, glancing up at a certain young master who was about to form another meeting. You guys go, I have something on. Someone said, don't, young Master Yun, let's go together. Yeah, let's go together, this dinner is specially for young Master Yun. Yunhu placed his hands in his pockets and laughed lightly. It has been almost a month since I came back. You guys have been welcoming me every day, it's about time. You guys go. Since he said this, the others couldn't stay any longer. Yunhu had always been thorough, asking Lin Feng before driving, what do you want to eat tonight? Buy it outside and bring it back. It's fine, I bought everything, you can do it. Lin Feng bought an extra bottle of white wine on purpose, it was the best thing to boost his courage. But when he drank later, he had to be careful and make Yunhu a little dizzy, he couldn't get himself drunk first. Lin Feng's idea was good, basically everything was ready except for one last thing. Fortunately, Yunhu wasn't a girl, so he didn't need to prepare a candlelight dinner. Lin Feng bought a few stir-fried dishes and placed them on the dining table. Today's meal wasn't important, it was more important to drink. In order to prevent himself from feeling guilty when he saw the real person later, he took out his phone. Lin Feng took out his phone and looked through the tutorial again. Honestly speaking, he was still a little conflicted. But for some reason, the moment he thought of that person being Yunhu, it seemed easier to accept. Just as he was thinking about this, the doorbell rang. Lin Feng paused, closing his phone hurriedly. He stood up immediately, organizing his thoughts before opening the door as though nothing had happened. In reality, his eyes didn't dare to look at anyone. What took you so long? Yunhu glanced at him, sizing him up. Why are you dressed like this when you were with the people from the courtyard? Dressed like this? Lin Feng just realized that he hadn't taken off the disguise he wore when he went shopping. It's cold in autumn, I'm wearing more to prevent a cold. You need to dress like you're going to rob a bank to prevent a cold. Yunhu laughed lightly. Your face is red because it's hot, right? MMH, Lin Feng replied in his heart. What did you know? His face was red because his heart was beating faster at the thought of being on top of him. But Lin Feng wouldn't say such things. Up until now, he felt that everything was going smoothly. What day is it today? You even bought wine. Yunhu walked over. When he saw the bottle on the table, he raised his eyebrows slightly. Lin Feng pretended to be deep. Luoluo is about to retire, I haven't been in a good mood, so I drank some wine to relax. Not in a good mood. Yunhu glanced over. Both of them were about the same height, but in terms of aura, they couldn't be compared. This was probably because of their looks. After all, Yunhu's face was chiseled and tough. I see that you and Little Spade are having a good time with Luoluo and Xiao Jing. Lin Feng paused. Ah, if you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. Speaking of which, I really didn't expect Luoluo to like that poker face. It's really unexpected. Yunhu pretended not to notice that he was changing the topic. Instead, he sat on the dining chair and said, I really didn't expect it. Lin Feng thought in his heart, he could finally follow the procedure. He decisively picked up the wine bottle. He first filled Yunhu's glass and then poured a mouthful for himself. Shall we drink one? Yunhu looked at the wine in his glass and then at his own. Just like this. Don't mind such details, Lin Feng said as he raised the bottom of his glass. Yunhu didn't mind drinking more wine. He pulled his collar with one hand, his gaze unreadable. Lin Feng saw that he was drinking happily, but he couldn't make it too obvious. This had to be done in a proper manner. Eat something first. You can drink when your stomach is full. Lin Feng placed a piece of braised beef on Yunhu's plate. He pretended not to see him, but in reality, his eyes had been drifting over. Yunhu ate the braised beef without a change in expression. His other hand took out his phone from his pocket and swiped it twice emotionlessly. Lin Feng had been focused on what he was about to do and didn't notice his actions. Unknowingly, at this moment, Yunhu sent a message to Bojo. Yunhu sent Bojo a message. Spade, do you know what Lin Feng is thinking about recently? Bojo was sitting in the club, watching the trainees playing games. When she received the message, she held her chin and smiled. It's a good thing for Almighty Yun. Have you seen him? Enjoy it and don't forget to thank me after it's done. This sentence was inexplicable. But it also explained something. He couldn't get any concrete information from Little Spade. Yunhu's gaze landed on a certain someone. He raised his glass again. Who? Come, have another drink. This time, it was even more excessive. One was plain water. The other was white wine. Could a certain someone's intention to get him drunk be any more obvious? Did he think that he couldn't see his little actions? Yunhu didn't reject the glass of wine. But when he picked it up and drank, he tilted the cup slightly, spilling more than half of the wine on the floor. His alcohol tolerance wasn't bad. In fact, it could be considered good. Chapter 1532. Yunhu placed his glass down nonchalantly as though he didn't see through his thoughts. He casually asked, "What's in the bag of the photo you posted in your moments?" Lin Feng paused. Why did Yunhu have to talk about this topic? Nothing much, just drinking. Yunhu lifted his eyelids when he heard this. He looked at the person's erratic gaze. It seemed like the thing in the bag was the main point. But what exactly was it that made him so abnormal? Even Yunhu, who had a calm mind, couldn't figure out what Lin Feng was thinking. After all, Lin Feng was indeed too straight sometimes. The two of them sat on opposite sides of the dining table. They ate absent-mindedly. Lin Feng kept wondering why this guy wasn't drunk yet. He had already drunk 5 glasses of water. It would be too much if he did any more tricks. Most importantly, it was a little too quiet. The quieter it was, the more guilty Lin Feng felt. He stood up. "I'm going to the washroom." He had drunk so much water. He had to take a stroll inside. It was probably a coincidence. The moment Lin Feng entered, his phone rang. Yunhu held his glass with one hand. When he glanced at the caller ID on the screen, his gaze deepened. Are the two of them still in contact? However, that was unavoidable. After all, his role in the Lin family was to teach Lin Feng some things. But even though his rationality told him that was the case, he couldn't accept it emotionally. Sometimes, Yunhu questioned himself. Was his possessiveness too strong? But it was fine if he didn't have any thoughts about someone. But once he knew that the other party had thoughts about him. Just like the girl in high school who would blush whenever he pulled her braid. Yunhu's heart would always feel uncomfortable. At that time, the only solution he could think of was to divert the girl's attention. That was why he chased after her. It was a joke. But at that age, at an age where he couldn't say anything, he did it. In the end, the girl finally agreed to be with him. Yunhu could clearly see that the person was stunned. He used his fist to bump his shoulder. Not bad, brother. Yunhu still remembered what he had said. Don't blame me. That person didn't seem to understand. Strange, why? I can tell that you have feelings for her, Yunhu said. At that time, he had been a little scheming. That person rubbed the back of his head and grabbed a handful of hair. Seriously, I do have a good impression of her, but she chose you. Moreover, it's just a good impression. I don't think too much about it. I'm just thinking about how to win the competition. After hearing what he said, he quickly broke up with the girl. No matter what she asked for, he basically satisfied the girl. He was indeed a scumbag. However, this kind of thing seemed to be consensual. The girl took a few bags from him and asked him to tell everyone that he was the one who had been dumped. It didn't matter who Yunhu dumped. In the end, he didn't expect to receive such benefits. It was a comfort from that person. Just like today, he had prepared wine and dishes. Patting him on the shoulder, he started drinking. There are plenty of women out there. She broke up with you because she didn't have the fortune. After saying these words, the man got drunk. Chapter 1533. It was also that kiss. It made Yunhu wonder if there was something wrong with him. If there wasn't something wrong with him, why would he have such thoughts towards a guy who was also a guy? For the entire night, his dreams were filled with his face. Yet, that guy knew nothing about all of this. The next day, he was still wondering if he had fallen down there. If not, why would his head hurt so much? Ever since then, it wasn't that he didn't want to distance himself from him. He just wanted to find the problem and solve it. But that guy thought he was in a bad mood after breaking up. To this person, he didn't seem to have a solution from the start. At first, he thought things would get better after they got together. But a certain someone didn't seem to be that aware. That was why there were so many opportunities for people to get close to him. Yunhu watched as the screen darkened and lit up again. He reached out and picked up his phone. He walked to the bathroom. Your phone keeps ringing. Lin Feng liked to wash his hands whenever he was nervous. He was turning on the water and thinking about how to put someone down when he heard Yunhu's voice. He used force and the water flow became much bigger. Phone. Help me answer it. Yunhu replied. That was what he said. Without hesitation, he brought the phone to his ear. Hello. The voice was low and he could hear the flipping of the contract. Are you free? Let's have dinner and talk about the project. Yunhu wasn't in a hurry. He waited for the other party to finish before speaking. Sorry, it's not him. He's in the bathroom now and it's not convenient for him to answer the phone. There was an obvious pause. Young Master Yun. It's me. Yun, who didn't mind revealing his identity in front of the other party, especially at such a time. The other party smiled and was very gentlemanly. Is he washing his hands in the bathroom at this hour? Yunhu narrowed his eyes. Because the other party had guessed correctly, the color in his eyes deepened. Just how heartless was that fellow? That was why he let an outsider know his habits. Yunhu glanced up, not surprised. No, he's showering. This time, there was a long pause on the other end of the phone. Then it really isn't convenient for him to answer my call. When he comes out, I'll have to trouble young Master Yun to ask him to return my call. All right. Yunhu's voice was still cold. In fact, he had the urge to smash his phone. He wanted to see how that guy was going to return the call if he smashed his phone. However, it was just a thought. Yunhu hung up. He wanted to return the phone to a certain someone. But when his gaze fell, he retracted his outstretched hand. How do you attack someone taller than you? The basic elements of being on the offensive. What are the specific steps of the attack? Let me share with you how I got my boyfriend. Yunhu scrolled down the list and finally landed on a point. Decide on the location, starting today. Yunhu's fingers paused, and the color of his eyes changed completely. Could that be the meaning behind what that guy posted on his moments? No wonder she always let him drink. She wanted him to get drunk and do something to him. Yunhu's hand was still there, but there was an obvious smile on his lips. On the other side, Lin Feng finally wiped the water off his body. The moment he came out, he saw Yunhu holding his phone, previewing a page. Wait. Page. Preview. Chapter 1534. Lin Feng didn't seem to have any hesitation. He snatched the phone from Yunhu's hand in an instant. The more he tried to cover it up, the more obvious it was. Yunhu lifted his eyelids, his deep eyes looking at the person standing opposite him. From the looks of it, it was true. This guy wanted to push him down. Lin Feng coughed softly under that gaze and began to forcefully explain, I'm just checking. After all, I already have a boyfriend. I have to know the process in advance, right? Not everyone has my spirit of learning without limits. Yunhu had every reason to believe that he had started to spout nonsense out of guilt since he could use endless learning in this situation. If you really want to know the process, I can teach you. Yunhu walked over. When he approached him, he could smell the faint scent of alcohol on his body. It mixed with his original scent, and for some reason, it smelled even better. But even so, Lin Feng still felt a sense of danger. I don't need you to teach me, I already know it. What a joke, did he still think he was a newbie who could be easily tricked? He had already communicated with others. Under normal circumstances, if someone offered to teach you the process, don't agree. There was a high possibility that you would end up being the one being suppressed while enjoying it. He still understood this point. Really? You know it. Yunhu moved closer. Do you want to try it on me? Of course. He came to him voluntarily. It had to be said that Yunhu was really self-aware. Lin Feng smiled, placing his hand on his shoulder like a good brother. You also think it's time for us to split up, right? Yunhu didn't feel anything wrong with their brotherly interaction. After all, he was a man, he shouldn't be shy. Yes, it's time to split up. Yunhu followed his words. When he glanced sideways, his gaze was a little deep. In the past, he had never thought that something would happen so soon. Because of Lin Feng's straightforwardness, he was afraid of messing things up. But now, it seemed like Lin Feng wasn't that resistant. If he couldn't even make use of this opportunity, what other opportunities would there be in the future? He had wanted to make him his for a long time. With that in mind, Yunhu's gaze deepened and he shifted. But I need to go down to buy something. At this moment, Lin Feng felt that he had great foresight. No need, I've already bought them. Are you done? Yunhu arched a brow. Lin Feng felt that it wasn't a bad thing for the other party to know his thoughts. This was how a man should be. There was nothing shameful about deciding his position. He really had too many concerns in the past. Now that he had thought it through, he placed the bag in front of Yunhu. It's all here, it's complete. Yunhu glanced at the bag. He basically recognized everything inside. After all, he had searched through all the things that Lin Feng had searched through when he was still in school. Ever since he had fallen in love with someone, some thoughts had never stopped. She really didn't expect him to post these things on his WeChat moments. And she said that she was just searching for him in advance, and that she didn't have any thoughts about him. Chapter 1535. Not bad. Yunhu flipped through the bag casually, many thoughts running through his mind. When Lin Feng heard that he was praised, he was smug. He basically said everything that needed to be said. Of course, this was recommended by the boss. I, a popular professional sports player, went to buy this thing. I didn't even take off my mask the entire time. That was why he was dressed like this. Yunhu could roughly guess the reason. I didn't know you had such thoughts about me. When Lin Feng heard this, he coughed softly. The problem of the position has to be resolved sooner or later. It's better to resolve it later than later. Yunhu was reminded of the message Spade had sent him. Based on his understanding of a certain someone, he wouldn't have thought of this if he hadn't been provoked. It seemed like he really had to treat Spade to a meal after today. Lin Feng couldn't read Yunhu's thoughts. Everything was ready except for the east wind. Following the procedure, he asked, "Shall we shower separately?" "Sure." Yunhu broke into a smile. There was no reason for him to reject someone who had sent himself to his doorstep. Since he agreed so readily, Lin Feng found a set of pajamas and tossed it to Yunhu before heading to the other bathroom. He went through the tutorial again. When he was almost done, Lin Feng said to the mirror, "With such a handsome attack, Yunhu won't be able to handle it." If Bo Jiao had heard his words, she would have scoffed at him. Unfortunately, it was indeed handsome. But an attack? Sorry, not at all. Lin Feng walked out with absolute confidence. He was determined to take down Yunhu. Hence, his gait was more imposing than usual. But for some reason, the moment his aura reached Yunhu, it was like a punctured balloon. At this moment, Yunhu walked out. He was wearing his pajamas, which was a little small. Hence, the top 2 buttons weren't buttoned. Instead, they were half open, revealing his enviable curves. Lin Feng was a little jealous. What exactly did this guy do to the gym? Shouldn't a professional gamer be abnormally pale and powerless? With a face like this, did he even have any professionalism? What happened to the fat homebody that only knew how to play games? Lin Feng had forgotten about a certain someone's background and the time in the dormitory. Every morning, he would wake him up for a run. He didn't know what to say. Let me sleep a little longer. That was basically it. Getting up early didn't seem like something pro players would do. Look at the captain. It was a typical personality that was grumpy the moment he woke up. Whoever dared to wake him up in the morning would be punished with an extra hour of training. However, Lin Feng finally understood. Once it was time to see the results on the bed. Running in the morning was really useful. Since he had just showered, Yunhu's black hair was still wet. Droplets of water landed on his face and flowed down his neck. Under such circumstances, his eyes seemed even deeper. For some reason, Lin Feng felt that his heart was beating faster. He clearly didn't feel anything just now. Chapter 1536. Begin. Lin Feng's face heated up from the other party's breath. Yunhu lowered his lids. I'm ready. Aren't we going to start? Of course. Lin Feng moved his right hand and pushed him against the wall. His voice was hoarse. But I have to start. What a joke, he had been kissed by Yunhu before. Every time he kissed him, his waist would weaken and his mind would go blank. Not to mention taking the initiative. Wouldn't he lie flat on the ground? Hence, even if they had to start, he had to be the one to start. Yunhu didn't know what Lin Feng was thinking. But someone had to take the initiative. Of course, he wouldn't reject anyone. Okay, you'll start. Yunhu lowered his gaze as he spoke. Lin Feng moved closer, but somehow, he felt that something was very awkward. Probably because his heart was beating too fast. It was so fast that he didn't know why, but he felt that the breath from Yunhu's body had stuck to his body before he even touched him. Yunhu noticed Lin Feng's hesitation. His grip tightened bit by bit. Until now, he was still worried that this fellow couldn't accept it. And he had the mood to do it. But he still hadn't figured out what exactly was going on. Every time, he was the one who took the initiative to kiss him. Then he was forced to accept it. Could Lin Feng really accept him as a man? It wasn't just in his mind. No. The moment Lin Feng said those 2 words, everyone was stunned. Yunhu's heart felt as though it had been cut by a knife. He steadied his breath and tried his best not to show his emotions. Usually, this kind of thing can be accepted. You can't look at me like that. Lin Feng raised his eyes once more. Perhaps it was because his skin was too fair, everyone could see the pink on his neck. However, his aura did not lose. Close your eyes. I say, Huzi, do you have any common sense? Who would open their eyes when being kissed? Yunhu paused for a moment before smiling. I forgot, I'll close my eyes now. So this guy was just shy. He even brought up the topic of whether he had common sense or not. Fortunately, he was shy. If he really couldn't accept it, what should he do? The moment Yunhu thought of this, his heart would contract. However, at this moment, Lin Feng lowered his gaze. It was a kiss that left as soon as they touched. If Yunhu's eyes were open, they would be deep. Stop yourself from responding. It was because they hadn't reached the back yet. If he couldn't control himself now, he wouldn't get the sweetest part. Lin Feng only kissed her once, but it was as if he was addicted. The scent became stronger and stronger, causing him to lean in again. But this time, he didn't know what went wrong. Yun Hu just replied to him. His brain seemed to be unable to react again. His heart was beating faster than ever. His aura wasn't stable at all. By the time he reacted, his waist had already been grabbed by the other party. But in front of a kiss, all of this seemed unimportant. Lin Feng had to admit that this guy's kissing skills were too good. Perhaps it was not only his kissing skills, but also the flames that were ignited wherever his hands touched seemed to be inextinguishable. A numbing sensation could be felt from his tailbone. Beneath him was the soft bedding. When the watch on his wrist was pressed against him, Lin Feng shuddered. His vitals were being held by someone else. Lin Feng just said, "Don't." The man leaned over and his voice missed his face, hitting the back of his ears again and again. "You like it?" Indeed, he liked it. No one would dislike being treated like this. It was a completely different feeling from his own hands. Lin Feng couldn't describe it. He only felt his thoughts drifting away. He didn't have the ability to think anymore. Not to mention the matter of taking the initiative and not taking the initiative. Between his fingers, the scent was the temperature he could feel the most. And the heat that hit his shoulder when he lowered his lids. The temperature in the entire room rose. Lin Feng didn't have the chance to see his face. At the start, he didn't want it. But now, he wanted him to stay a little longer. Yun Hu's eyes dimmed. He seemed to be enduring something. When the kiss landed on the side of his ear, he didn't forget to reach for something. At this moment, Lin Feng was really floating. Both his eyes were looking at the ceiling. His body was still in the most numbing warmth. All of a sudden, he lifted her up in his arms. In that instant, it wasn't that he didn't feel pain. Lin Feng's eyes widened in an instant. He said, F***CK. He wanted to push him away. Yun Hu also stopped at this moment. The sweat on his forehead was more than ever. "I'm sorry, I probably can't stop." Lin Feng's eyes widened again. The next moment, he could feel the other party's kiss landing. But he didn't have the slightest intention of stopping. Not only that. There was even a feeling that he was going to be engulfed entirely. After this thing got used to it. He didn't know why, but what came surging was more numbness. Lin Feng's entire body was soft. It was as if he was fished out of the water. His thoughts were all jumbled up. But it was his voice beside his ear. "You're right. This model is really useful." Lin Feng felt the strength from the other party. There was something mixed in it. It actually stimulated more numbness. Lin Feng recalled the mysterious words his boss had said to him. "Try it on your boyfriend. There will be unexpected effects." Now, Lin Feng finally experienced what that effect was. He wanted more. Yun Hu also realized that this thing was different from the one he usually used. He only paused for a moment before he didn't restrain his strength anymore. In the full-length mirror, one could see a fair-skinned, handsome man being held by another man at the waist from behind. As his black hair fell, the man looked as if he could not take it anymore and arched his neck. Yun Hu didn't hesitate at all. He lowered his head and gave him a deep kiss. He didn't intend to let him go. From the moment he knew what he was going to do. That was Yun Hu's plan. He could be called despicable. Anything else was better. As long as he could have him. That was more important than anything else. Lin Feng finally understood what it felt like to walk into a trap. But it was all too late. Who would have thought that the thing he had meticulously prepared would be used on himself? And who was the one who said that he wouldn't be suppressed if he took the initiative? It was impossible to say that Lin Feng didn't have any resentment. But, no matter what, he had enjoyed it. It wasn't as hard to accept as he had imagined. It was just very awkward. So much so that the next morning, the sky hadn't even brightened. Chapter 1537. After escaping, Lin Feng didn't go anywhere. He went straight back to the Lin family's house. With the marks on his body, he definitely wouldn't be able to go to the construction site. It was obvious that his waist and legs weren't feeling well. Moreover, his throat was dry. Yun, who hadn't intended to let him have a good sleep yesterday, at this thought, Lin Feng pulled the blanket over his head. F***ck. If it had been him, he wouldn't have let him have a good sleep either. But if it had been him, he wouldn't have let him have a good sleep either. Everything was different now. He just found out that Yun, who was born in the year of the dog. The type of dog that looked like a wolf puppy. It was a popular term nowadays. Lin Feng had never imagined that there would be a day when he would use this term on Yun, who. He didn't have a fever. Lin Feng realized that his body was clean when he woke up. It must have been after he fainted last night. Yun, who had carried him to shower. Lin Feng tightened his grip again. His face was hot. Perhaps it was because the aura that had been branded on his body was too strong. Even now, Lin Feng felt as if he could hear that guy's low panting next to his ear as soon as he closed his eyes. He could also hear that deep voice and heat, F***ck. Lin Feng moved, intending to stand up and take a shower. However, it was also at this moment. His cell phone rang in his pocket. It was a message from Little Spade, asking daily, "How was yesterday? Did you take down Almighty Yun?" When she sent this message, she was sitting in the team's canteen, supporting her chin lazily. Ever since they had recruited new members, the Chin group had specially set up a small canteen for the young trainees to have a balanced diet. After all, as esports gained recognition, the age of the trainees was getting younger. At first, Bojo didn't mind since she liked to sleep. In school, she would lie on her desk without hesitation to catch up on her sleep since hackers operated at night. She would naturally feel sleepy during the day. Bojo had intended to find a place to sleep while the trainees ate. Just then, she saw the small figure holding a steamed bun in his hand. There was a cup beside him which seemed to be filled with hot water. He was reading while munching on the steamed bun and drinking the hot water. There wasn't a single expression on his fair and clear face. It was probably because she was still underage, and she was small to begin with. Bojo found the little kid extremely adorable. Her hand paused for a moment before she perked up. She stuffed one hand into her pocket, her silver hair falling down. She kept her phone, picked up her plate, and walked towards the little figure. Little Mo-Bay was originally swallowing a bun, but when she saw the person sitting opposite her, her ears reddened for some reason. Bojo arched a brow. "How can you just eat steamed buns? When I was your age, I would eat 5 steamed buns with bean meat." Little Mo-Bay was about to speak. The man picked up the chopsticks, picked up a piece of egg, and brought it to her mouth. Little Mo-Bay's eyes drifted a little, but there was no expression on her face. Bojo smiled lazily. "Little Mo-Bay, what are you waiting for? Come, open your mouth." No one would reject their idol, including little Mo-Bay. However, just as she opened her mouth and swallowed the food in one mouthful. Chapter 1538. Just as little Mo-Bay was suspecting if she had seen wrongly, Chin Mo walked towards them. He reached out and pulled Bojo's collar from the back. "Don't force a child to eat things she doesn't like." Bojo tilted her head and her gaze changed. Then, she looked at the person in front of her. Little Mo Bay doesn't like eggs. Little Mo Bay looked at her captain's gaze and then at her idol's face, which could make one's ears turn red. Her voice was cold and serious. I like it. Then, eat more. Bojo picked up another piece of egg and passed it over. Chi Nemo narrowed his eyes. He didn't say anything, but the cold aura from his body made his assistant, who had come over, push his spectacles up the bridge of his nose. Was young master jealous? Actually, he wasn't jealous. But in the past, a certain someone had always accompanied him. Now, he seemed to be overly concerned about the child in front of him. Bojo indeed treated little Mo Bay differently. After all, at the start, if it wasn't for this child, she wouldn't have been able to enter so quickly. Moreover, the child's aura was similar to Chin Mo's when he was young. Bojo would definitely be more concerned about her. But after caring for her, she realized that this child was different from others. She was always alone. She would spend the least amount of money on food. She didn't like to talk. When she practiced, she was more hardworking than anyone else. Playing esports was indeed a test of whether a person had the talent in this area. Not everyone who liked to play games was suitable for this industry. Some people were born to play well. And no matter how much they practiced, they would still be the same in the end. Hence, when some people gave up their studies to play esports, they had to consider carefully. After all, this industry wasn't suitable for everyone. Did they have the mental capacity to handle it? Did they have the talent? Did they know what was the most important thing in gaming? How fast their hands were and how good their judgment was. This was also the reason why Supreme Alliance would go through layers of screening when they recruited. Even if this method of selection would make people say that Supreme Alliance didn't treat them well after they got the first place, they would still use this method to screen. Every industry had its bright and beautiful side. Similarly, there was a side that wasn't known to people. Even Supreme Alliance wouldn't be liked by everyone. Those who hadn't made a name for themselves were either idolizing or waiting for Supreme Alliance to fall. Hence, when he found out about Supreme Alliance's recruitment conditions, he would mock them. After mocking them, he would say, "Let's stop here, in case Supreme Alliance's fans say that their eyes are sore. I really like playing esports. It doesn't matter if I'm popular or not, I'm just playing. I just can't stand it when some people start to look down on ordinary people after getting first place." What a joke. Words like that would definitely spread among the trainees. Bojo had been on duty for the past 2 days and had heard such discussions. He also knew that some of them felt that they weren't valued enough and were wondering if they should join Supreme Alliance. When Bojo heard this, she leaned against the wall and smiled. She didn't seem to care who stayed and who left. But just as she was about to leave, Chapter 1539. What does a child like you know? Some people join just because they like it. The trainees seem to have found the little kid an eyesore. You go wherever you want to go. You don't have any expression the entire day. You are so arrogant. Didn't you get recruited just because you showed your skills during the internal competition? We are different from you. We have worked hard to get to where we are now, unlike you who have never experienced any setbacks. You just need to build a good relationship with Almighty Z. You imitate other people's playstyles and you don't have anything of your own. A woman shouldn't be the vice captain. Even Almighty Z disappoints us when it comes to choosing people. Why did he choose someone like you? What a joke. Almighty Z chose me because I play better than all of you. If you can't take this lying down, you can challenge me to a duel. But I know that people like you who gossip behind people's backs will always be like this. You talk about how hard you work but your focus will never be on esports. If you really like it, you would have gone to practice a long time ago. You shouldn't be here gossiping and saying that your eyes aren't sore. I'll still say the same thing. If you don't want to win, you can play for fun. Why are you playing professionally? Everyone who joins a professional team wants to stand at a higher position and no one wants to lose. You joined because Supreme Alliance is famous and you want more people to know about it. What's the point of saying such things? Please, we aren't like you. We only want to be popular. The little figure's expression was still indifferent. Different from me. I am indeed different from all of you. What I want is simple, I want to win. I want Supreme Alliance to always stand at the top and not be pulled down by anyone. This is my motive for playing professionally. At the same time, I can earn money to support myself. For those who have never thought of entering the National League, it is better not to neglect their studies. After all, only those who have walked the path of esports know how difficult it is. Isn't it normal for Supreme Alliance to reject me? You are mocking us not because you don't want to be popular but because you know you won't be able to be the first in the advancement competition. What a joke. Do you think we are like you, lacking money so much that we have to prove ourselves? Forget it, I'm not talking to a retard. The little figure glanced over. Since you know I'm a retard, don't create a smurf account here and talk about Almighty Z as a fan. From Bojo's angle, she could clearly see his face turning green. He probably hadn't expected the little figure to know his secret. His expression changed instantly. The little figure retracted her gaze. This isn't a world where you can climb up just because you pull someone down. Of course, you will say that you didn't think that way because you felt indignant and that Almighty Z's actions were wrong. You can talk about it after the advancement competition. With that, the little figure turned. She didn't seem afraid that they were all taller than her. Her voice was calm. I will win and destroy all of you. You. The person wanted to attack. The person beside him reminded him that there was a camera above him. That person's gaze turned dark. The few trainees didn't notice. Bojo watched the entire scene. Ever since that day, there seemed to be many voices coming out. The youngest trainee of Supreme Alliance was too arrogant and didn't know how to cooperate with the team. After being found out, she became arrogant and would always say things that would slap her own face. Some fans claimed to have seen the entire process and were disappointed with Supreme Alliance's selection rules. They felt that this wasn't the Supreme Alliance they knew. Someone even said that Spadesy chose people based on their looks or that she had received some kind of benefits. Another wave of people came out to express their disappointment. In the end, the child seemed to be anxious. This was also the reason why Bojo started to look at little Mo Bay. She was indeed likable. But this child was too straightforward. She was easily broken. Bojo had wanted to reason things out with the kid, but now, she couldn't help herself. But the moment she met her eyes, she decided to forget about it. Anyway, they were all here. At the very least, they could raise the child. Also, how far could Supreme Alliance go? No one could predict it. After all, the circle would change. Bojo held her chin and smiled lazily. Feeding the child always gave her a sense of achievement. Chin Mo just sat there, his aura colder than usual. Little Mo Bay could feel it. After she was full, she went to train. Chin Mo glanced at the child before retracting his gaze. He brought a certain someone towards the office. Bojo was still sleepy. It wasn't good to wake up so early. After entering the office, Chin Mo arched a brow. You like children? MMH, a long time ago, Bojo didn't have any special feelings towards children. But ever since she had met a certain someone through the window, she didn't know why she couldn't feel at ease whenever she saw a quiet and cold child. In the future, because of this, she would forget that children could also be a trap. But now, she seemed to have thought it through. It was probably because she had met little Mo Bay, who was like the Almighty when he was young. Children were more like angels. Especially this kind of child who had facial paralysis. Her ears would turn red when she was teased. She had her own unique judgment and didn't follow the crowd. She was indeed a charming existence. Chi Nemo walked over and placed a hand on her side. He lowered his body. Since you like it so much, give birth to one yourself. Bojio hadn't reacted yet. Chi Nemo spoke again, his emotions calm. After you enter university, we'll go to the 5th Avenue and stay there. There won't be any messy people that you need to feed. It'll be convenient for you to prepare for pregnancy. Bojio wanted to ask Brother Mo if he was actually jealous. But the Almighty lowered his head and kissed her lips. His breath lingered at the tip of her nose. She could still hear his voice faintly. In the future, if you want to feed someone, consider your husband, Mrs. Chin. Bojio smiled, her silver hair moving slightly. All right, but Brother Mo, you're always so jealous. In the future, when we really have our own children, you won't be jealous of the child, right? Chi Nemo lowered his lids, his thin lips landing on her face. His emotions were still calm. That depends on whether he knows how to behave. Chapter 1540. What's considered sensible and what's considered immature? Bojio decided to ask in advance so that he wouldn't get jealous. Chi Nemo glanced down, his tone calm. You have too many questions. Bojio was about to reply. Chi Nemo leaned down and kissed a certain someone. Not only could he keep her quiet, but she wouldn't have time to care about anything else. Hence, Bojio missed Lin Feng's message perfectly. Actually, when Lin Feng saw Little Spade's question, he had been thinking about how to reply. Tell the truth. How was that possible? This was a matter of a man's reputation. Not replying. Little Spade must have thought that he didn't manage to take him down. His words were too strong and wouldn't be believable. Lin Feng moved his fingers and typed a few words. I'm taking care of who, his waist hurts. That's all, I won't say any more. Such a reply should be extremely trustworthy, right? Before this day, he had wanted to brag about his skills this morning. But now, it seemed like he didn't know how to brag. But he couldn't tell Little Spade that he was the one below. After Lin Feng sent the message, he decided to rest. In his current state, he wouldn't be able to meet anyone. When his mother asked him when he came in, he said he had a cold and wasn't feeling well. That was the only thing he could say. Otherwise, he couldn't say that he was still the one below after sleeping with who. Thinking about this, Lin Feng was reminded of the scene yesterday. Why didn't he reject him when he lowered his lids? He felt as though he was a magnetic field that had a fatal attraction. Should he say that he was too handsome or was it because of his skills? Lin Feng shook his head, trying to shake off the image in his mind. Unexpectedly, before he could shake off the image, his phone rang. The caller ID showed that it was Yun Hu. When Lin Feng saw the name, he froze and pressed the mute button. He looked at the phone as though he was looking at a monster. His eyes turned round. But as a man of steel, his pride told him that if he didn't dare to pick up the call, he wouldn't be a man. Didn't he just sleep? Didn't he just fail to attack and get suppressed? Didn't he just use the things he bought on himself? What? Wasn't that right? Anyway, he was already home. Was there a need to be afraid of Yun Xiaohu, who was 10 miles away? There was nothing to fear. Answer the phone. After Lin Feng was mentally prepared, he took a deep breath, placed the phone by his ear, and pressed the answer button. He purposely lowered his voice to make the other party sound mature and steady. Hello. Not bad, my aura is at least full marks. It wasn't suppressed. Lin Feng evaluated himself. He heard him say, run after sleeping. Is that how you play, God Lin? F***ck you're God Lin. Lin Feng absolutely believed that this guy did it on purpose and was about to explode. Yunhu's voice came again. Are you feeling unwell? Not bad. Lin Feng moved a little awkwardly. Yunhu's voice was still calm. The moment I opened my eyes, you were gone. I thought I had a dream yesterday. After all, I'm used to having such dreams all these years. Chapter 1541. I bought medicine for you. Yunhu lowered his voice, sounding a little hoarse. You need to apply medicine to that area. It wasn't a big deal, but Lin Feng blushed at the old man's words. He tilted his head. It's okay, I'll be fine after a nap. Besides, I'm not there. Where are you? At the Lin family. Yunhu asked casually. Lin Feng replied. Since they weren't in the same place, Yunhu couldn't do anything to him. Unexpectedly, Yunhu's next sentence was, wait. Lin Feng. It better not be what he thought it was. Lin Feng couldn't wrap his head around this thought. Just then, he heard some noise coming from downstairs. It was indeed Yunhu. Other than the medicine, Yunhu also brought 2 bags of fruits, which were Mother Lin's favorites. Mother Lin was elated when she saw Yunhu. Why are you free? I'm here to see you, godmother. Yunhu had always been good with words. Mother Lin's smile deepened. Didn't we just see you? Don't leave today, we'll cook fish tonight. Okay, Yunhu replied. He pretended to ask casually, where's Lin Feng? He's sleeping upstairs. I don't know what's wrong with him recently, he's acting weird. He insists on staying alone and doesn't let me into his room when he has a cold. Mother Lin shook her head. He's really grown up, he knows how to be shy. Lin Feng listened to his mother through the door frame. He really wondered whose real mother she was. She was basically inviting a wolf into the house. Lin Feng jumped up from the bed, hesitating if he should lock the door. If he didn't lock it, it would be really awkward for him to see Yunhu now. If he locked it, it would be too deliberate. Just as Lin Feng was hesitating, a low voice came from downstairs. Then I'll go up and see him. Go. Mother Lin was really happy. I'll go cut the fruits. Lin Feng. His mother was sending him to the wolf's mouth. It was like this in the past and now. Lin Feng felt that his cold couldn't be cured. Since he couldn't avoid it, he might as well be more generous. He decided he couldn't lose face no matter what. What was there to be afraid of? When Yunhu walked in, Lin Feng quickly adjusted his expression and sat back on the chair, pretending to play a game and start a live stream. Yunhu hadn't expected to see such a scene. He thought that someone should be lying in bed right now. I can still play games. After Lin Feng sensed that someone had entered, he pretended to be aloof and looked down. You're here. Yunhu didn't say anything. Instead, he walked over and placed his hand on his forehead. Lin Feng paused. His aura had obviously softened. You can just talk. Why are you hitting me? F***ck, that's cheating. You're not going to make a move. Yunhu arched a brow. He lowered his gaze and pressed his forehead against his. This made Lin Feng recall the scene from last night. It's really me. I don't have a fever. Lin Feng stretched out his hand to push her away, but when he moved, he suddenly pulled his waist, causing him to stiffen in pain. Yunhu noticed his discomfort and placed his fingers on the back of his waist. That action seemed to wrap around Lin Feng's entire body. Lin Feng only felt that the temperature on his face was getting hotter, but the strength of the kneading was just right. It was really a case of a tiger being bullied by a dog. If they were to do it again, he would definitely not be suppressed. The next time he saw the boss of that shop, he would definitely ask him to give him something more normal. He shouldn't give him anything that had a hastening effect. If it wasn't for that thing, he wouldn't have been so helpless. What a blunder. That's right, it was a blunder. Lin Feng would never admit that he wasn't as skilled as someone else. Let me get it back next time. When Yunhu heard this, he arched a brow. There seemed to be a hidden smile at the corner of his lips. Sure. Next time. This kind of thing should be based on ability. This fellow didn't seem to understand his position. But it didn't matter. As for Yunhu, he was very supportive of Lin Feng's wish. But usually, only things that would never come true would be called a wish. Go to the bed. When Lin Feng heard these words, he took a huge step back. F***ck, what do you want me to do on the bed? Apply the ointment. Yunhu looked at that person, his voice faint. What else do you think I want to do? Lin Feng was slightly embarrassed. After a moment, he said, don't say such ambiguous words in the future. Just apply the ointment. Yunhu glanced at him. Okay. Lin Feng was still a little uncomfortable. After that person touched the ointment, he wanted to rub it on his neck. To reduce the swelling. Lin Feng thought to himself, you still know that when you kiss someone, you don't care about your life. But he didn't say it directly. Instead, he insisted on doing it himself. Yunhu didn't say much and placed the ointment in his palm. He glanced at the messy bed again. A certain someone must have been pretending just now. How was it possible that he was playing games? Yunhu glanced over, his gaze landing on Lin Feng again. Lin Feng didn't know what to do under that gaze. But he heard him say, take off your pants. This time, Lin Feng didn't act rashly. Why would I take off my pants? What do you think? Yunhu reached out and pressed down on his back. There's a place where I can help you apply the ointment. It's more convenient. Lin Feng watched as the angular face got closer and closer to him. It was so close that he didn't even have a chance to resist. He could only cover himself with the blanket. Even the back of his neck was red. He didn't even look at the person sitting beside his bed. After that, Lin Feng did sleep for a while. But when it was time for dinner, Mother Lin definitely came up to rush them. Hey, after Hu Zi came, you even recovered from your illness. Lin Feng didn't say anything. Beauty, I'm forcing myself. After all, I have to eat with you. Don't be talkative, come down and eat. Mother Lin went downstairs happily. Lin Feng. His words were flippant and Yunhu's words were sensible. Did his mother really speak based on bloodline? He hadn't eaten much since last night. Lin Feng was hungry. When he saw the table full of dishes, he couldn't control his chopsticks. Potato spicy chicken, chopped red pepper fish head, steamed lotus root, these were all his and Yunhu's favorite dishes. His mother usually found it troublesome to cook and never did it. She was really her own son. Lin Feng cursed in his heart. He lowered his head and planned to eat to his heart's content. But he didn't know what was wrong with Yunhu. Wherever he extended his chopsticks, Yunhu would stick his chopsticks there as though he was going against him. When he wanted to pick up a piece of chicken, Yunhu snatched the food from his chopsticks for the third time. Lin Feng was about to get angry. Yunhu placed a green vegetable in his bowl. You aren't feeling well. Don't eat such spicy food. Mother Lin thought that Yunhu was talking about the flu. Who is right? Go and get yourself a bowl of soup. Lin Feng remembered the information he had researched online. For example, as a qualified attacker. After waking up the next day, he had to make porridge or soup for the person on the bed. At that time, he had planned to be gentle and considerate in front of Yunhu. Now, he was the one drinking the soup. Lin Feng's mood was obvious. In front of the table of food he liked, he couldn't eat anything. It was really depressing. Moreover, Yunhu was going to sleep here today. Even though it was still a little early to sleep, Lin Feng would be reminded of the previous night whenever he saw the bed or the way Yunhu rolled up his sleeves. It was still awkward. Mother Lin also noticed that her son was unusually quiet today. She didn't know if it was because of the flu. When she passed the fruit to Yunhu, she said, "Ask him if he has anything on his mind recently." Yunhu took the fruit plate and said, "He probably isn't feeling well. He will be fine tomorrow." "Is that so?" Mama Lin breathed a sigh of relief. "I thought he was unhappy about the blind date." Yunhu paused. Blind date? It's a business cooperation company. It's also an old friend who works with the Lin family frequently. Mother Lin said, the other party said that his granddaughter is a fan of Lin Feng and has always wanted to meet him. She has a good impression of Lin Feng and recently, he has decided to let the two of them meet. This way, it would be convenient for them to discuss business. Speaking of which, I don't want to see Lin Feng running around like this. The Lin family doesn't lack money, but you should understand that it can't be compared to the past. Some people are now keeping a respectful distance from Lin Feng, probably because they are afraid that Lin Feng will ask them for help. These people still don't understand Lin Feng. You grew up with him and you should understand that he won't ask for help unless he has no other choice. Besides, the Lin family hasn't reached the point where it has to ask anyone for help. In the past few years, I haven't been controlling Lin Feng. He can do whatever he wants because he said he likes to play games. Before you went overseas, he talked to me and said that he would retire after the Asian Cup. He is now preparing for this. As his mother, I can tell that even though he looks like that, he will be able to shoulder all the responsibilities when the Lin family really needs him. But there's something, Yunhu, you have to tell him that even though his grandmother and I are the only ones left in the Lin family, it doesn't mean that all the responsibilities will fall on his shoulders. He can do whatever he wants to do. He can play sports for another 2 years. Both his father and I looked forward to him coming into this world. Our initial hope was for him to walk the path he wanted to walk. The more Yunhu listened, the deeper his gaze became. It was so deep that he couldn't find his footing. It wasn't that he didn't feel guilty towards Mother Lin. But compared to the guilt, he really couldn't leave that person. Basically, the happiness that all parents could think of was to see their children get married and have children. This would never happen to Lin Feng again. If it really happened. Yunhu didn't know what he would do. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.